Hello, and welcome to interviews from the Golden Beat 2. In this installment, we're talking with Dan Racicot about his song submission entitled Blue Orange.
Dan, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Thank you for coming on and doing this Golden Beat interview with me. I really appreciate it. Just to get to know you a little bit better, what instrument do you play as a musician?
I play the drums, but I haven't played the drums in probably a year because there's nowhere to jam with my friends right now.
Because you can't. Yeah.
And then I dabble in everything else. I don't play anything else really, but like I have a guitar and I have stuff and I pick it up once in a blue moon, like when people put out beats and say make songs.
Nice.
Yeah, I mess with it.
Do you keep a set of drums at your house, or do you just go to like jam spaces?
Nothing set up here, but my neighbors have an electric kit and then just rehearsal factories and stuff back in when there was rehearsal factory. I think there's still rehearsal factory. I don't know.
I hope they're still there because I want to go back. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on. So you made a song for us, and just real quickly, do you have an artist name that you go by, or is it just Dan Racicot?
For now, it's Dan Racicot. I'm toying with Damn Rascal though. I think that might be a cool play. Yeah.
Nice.
So we'll see. Maybe we'll flip that. That'll be if I ever make another song, I'll release it under Damn Rascal.
Damn Rascal. I like that. No, that's really cool. Right on. So do you remember the first song that you recorded, whether it was like an old home boombox one or if it was something later in life? Like, do you have an idea for what that could have been or what it was like?
It's weird. We didn't like the first few bands I was in. I don't think we recorded very much because it was so DIY back in the day.
Yeah.
Like Fried, I know you remember that awesome band, but like we never recorded anything, you know.
What?
And
can you just let everybody else know what Fried was?
Fried was a band in our high school. I mean, one of many bands in the clique, and a band that was born out of sticking a Friday and Wednesday bread sticker together.
So
like a gimmicky band in a lot of ways. Not great, but we did play the Gasworks in Toronto, which is like fucking cool. And I mean, it was fun, man. You know, I was a little kid when I started that stuff up, but we never recorded anything. We had aspirations like all the bands, but we definitely didn't do much. I don't think I really recorded a song until close to like when I recorded with you, but I had recorded songs before that, I guess, but just into the mini disc player. You remember those? Like a little recorder. So like doing acoustics. And I mean, that band Years Apart, which was, another band that I was in, I ended up writing a lot of those songs. And like, I don't really claim to be much of a musician. I just play instruments, right? Like once in a while and figure shit out. And I'll go through these phases where I'll make some crap up, or I did back then. And that was another one where it's like that was probably the first time that I really recorded anything. Like even though I'd been in like 3 bands before that, it just never came up, man.
Yeah, totally. So it's really more like you just have a very creative personality, and like when it strikes you, right? When it hits you, you got to put it out somehow, right?
No matter. I think I picked up a guitar a lot more when I was younger too, right?
True.
So I think that's part of it is like just accessibility. Like now if I go to play music, I want to just go and play the drums and do what I do. But if, back then it was, what do we have to do at night when you're a 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid? Like you sit around at your house in the basement and you play your guitar or whatever. And yeah, I wrote some shitty songs, probably some that aren't even that shitty, right? Like, you just write, you just make stuff up.
Yeah, so. That's true. Very cool. Okay. So, why did you choose to do a Golden Beat song? Like, why did you want to take on the challenge?
It's a good question. I've definitely had a lot of respect for the first Golden Beat, which I'm sure that you've already covered that somewhere on this website that you're posting these on. So I won't go into super detail, but yeah, like the.
Can I interrupt just for a second? The funny thing about that is, I think I'm gonna have to revisit after I do this. I'm gonna go back and revisit the first thing. So we'll see how that manifests, anyways. So yeah, keep on going.
yeah, so the first Golden Beat was something that I thought was really interesting, and being a drummer, you know, I was definitely like, I wanted to like be the one who recorded the beat, you know, like I was like, this is a dope idea, a really cool idea. And then another band that I played in, we actually had a band or a song we played live that was the old Golden Beat song, With You Left Saving the Planet. Stu's Golden Beat was a song that, I mean, I think we unearthed a video of us drunkenly playing that with you in
Oh
Kensington
my
Market
god.
not too long ago.
Oh
So
my god.
that, you know, some of these songs really stuck to us, right? Like they're really solid attempts. And then on top of that, we had time on our hands that we didn't have before. I spend a lot of time right here because I work from here anyway, but with everything going on, I've been here doing whatever else. So when the whole shebang started, I picked up a little Akai keyboard, just a
Oh,
little, little guy, you know, and I was like, maybe I'll try and learn piano or something, right? Give myself something to do, a goal and I didn't at all learn piano. Um, but it was enough motivation for me to think that I had learned some piano, and I just was like, I'm gonna screw around with this Golden Beat idea. I don't think I ever thought I would actually submit something, because I was just looking for like, oh, I'll try it, whatever. But I never thought I'd be like cool enough with it to send it in. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, because between you and I didn't do that much. I just, you know, messed around until it was cool. So, yeah, so that's why, man, just because I had a lot of respect for the first one.
nice. Okay, that's great. And I'm so glad that you submitted because I really like your song quite a bit. And
Thanks, man.
yeah, it's just very interesting, and we'll get to that in a second. Um, can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration of the song?
Sure.
You know, lyrically, sonically, instrumentation wise, like where were you calling all that from?
Yeah, I was definitely on a bit of a groove MIDI tip. I've been listening to a lot of music that I didn't really think that I would like lately. And that's not to say that I just didn't, I don't know, like a lot of more pop influenced electro, and I don't know, there's a really big crazy UK thing going on right now that's crazy to me, and just I don't know, a lot of beats and groove and production. And like I like live off the floor rock and roll, or like dirty hip hop, you know, so I've just been getting into this idea of overproducing, and like in a good way though, like just really really going to town on production. And if I, you know, to be honest, there's definitely a couple parts in this that were more inspired by music than I knew at the time. And like now I look at it and go, wow, I kind of just lifted a couple parts from different songs and put them together, but like not really intentionally, just it's the vibe, right? It's a vibe that you get in your head or something and you put it together, and it's not the same, but it's like I hear where I got those from.
Yeah,
So that's where the sonic inspiration was really just coming from. What do I have lying around, and what can I pull off here? And then how far can I produce it, which is not far. So it's like, you know, like what can I do to it to like even hit on like one or two little things that make me think I even tried. Lyrically, I think the whole thing it stems from like the lyrics are kind of cliche. It's just crap about like what are we doing, and why are we here? Why can't we hang out with our friends? You know, it's just stuff like that. And then the second bit is
so
was sort of
sorry.
inspired, but yeah.
Sorry. What you're saying is maybe some of your lyrical content is inspired by the current pandemic that we're still
Oh,
living
for
through,
sure.
I guess.
The first half of it, or the first like verse, I guess you could say, was definitely like those kind of words, not overthought, because I'm again don't color myself a writer like that, but just the way that I write lyrics, I don't know, or melodies, is I just write words to them, and if it works, cool, we move on. So
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
I'm like a one pass write it. I don't know. I don't like to beat a dead horse, right? I'm a drummer. We lock in and that's that. So I'm like that with other things too. When it works, it works. Just move on.
Nice.
Especially with this, because I was just trying to put something together. I also thought I would go back and do another. Like I don't know. This song just kind of came together, and I was like, I like it, so I'll send it. But I don't think this was my original intent. I thought I was just going to play around and learn, and then actually get to it. So yeah, so that's where those came from. And the last bit, I don't really remember all the words because I think I scribbled them down, recorded them, and don't have the lyrics anymore. But I know it was dealing with something about like just people being pissed off and people breaking down doors and things like that, and just the pushback, right, that we were seeing in the summer and things like that, and also in the States, the turmoil. Last 4 years have been kind of shitty. I think if you're a good person and you want to see good in the world, it hasn't been the easiest 4 years of
For sure. Yeah.
optimism. So I guess it came from a bit from that, but also just what words worked, you know. So I wouldn't put a ton on it, but yeah, that's where my head was at for sure.
That's cool. No, that's great. So I handed you the framework, essentially, like almost like I was giving you guys a box to work within. How did you take that box or that framework and turn it into your song? And to add to that, did you manipulate the beat in any way in your songwriting process, creation process?
For the first, I'd say 80% of the process, I didn't touch a thing. I just let the beat play. I think at that time too, there was, I know that, you know, rules is the wrong word, but we hadn't really heard, you know, some people had asked, can we chop the beat up? And I think we were all kind of waiting to find out.
Mm-hmm.
So the first little bit we hadn't found out. So I just was working with it as it was. About 80% of the way through, I think maybe I moved the drum fill. The I think I moved that up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I did to your core beat, was change that so it worked with whatever formatting and structure that I had made. Again, none of this was really intentional. I just went with all of this. So, and then other than that, I definitely did some like shaker additions, some little because I was just, you know, I'm playing with the MIDI pads and I'm just like, load it up. Let's see what we can throw on top and spice this up, right?
Nice, yes.
Plus, you know, I'm a drummer, so I wanted to get my fix in there. So nothing crazy, but enough that there's a couple grooves that I'm like, oh yeah, there's that shaker that worked right there, you know, that for that 2 bars that it works, and then you just sort of lose it again. But yeah, it's cool, man. I like the framework. I like the idea of sticking within the framework too. I'm cool with the people that did all whatever, chopped and screwed the beat and stuff, but the challenge is cool to try and just make it happen. As a drummer, like, you know, I think that the beat drives the song, and like a lot of times the drums are right. Like, you know, maybe it's spoken like a true drummer, right? But a lot of times the drums make sense. Like, just follow the drums. Like you know, unless your idea is to go against the instinct of the song, usually, right? So that's just the way that I am with it. And I guess I just wanted to be as pure as I could, but I had to move that fill a little bit.
So I got to say, the funny thing about that fill is, first of all, when I made the beat, it took me a while to do that, because I did not personally have any other song thought out. It was just like, I'm just going to make a drum beat in the framework of a song. And I tried to make it interesting and maybe a little bit different. But it took me a while to put it all together, and I racked my brain over it for a while. And I remember putting in that fill, and I had a hard time because I programmed it, right? And like some of it was like finger drumming, some of it was like quantized, and like, you know, like it was all a little bit of this and that, right? But I remember having the hardest time making that drum fill sound like a proper drum fill, and in the end, in my song, I just cut it right out.
I could see that, man. I could see that. It definitely at first, like, I didn't think to do it, but when I did it, I actually think that it enhanced the part 100 times. So I'll give you 100 kudos on that. Without that drum fill, that transition doesn't really feel as nice. Like, it just doesn't, you know?
Yeah, because that's the transition to the whole like second part of the song, I guess, right? Where the beat, there's like a slight change, right? There's a different feel.
For sure. Yeah, it gets a little, I guess, a little more groovy, right? Like a little more off time. There's that like attempt at piano playing in there where it's, you know, the odd chord and me being proud of myself. But again, like it's a sum of the parts, right? Like, so that drum fill kicked it off, especially the way it sort of ends with a beat and like a breath. Like, that's where without that, you can't come in on that off. And I don't know, it's just, definitely helped that part of the song for me.
Right. Yeah, it's a real change up right there. It's like a total change up. So cool. So let's move on to actually talking about your song itself. As the song starts off, right off the top, we get the beat and a fairly gnarly sounding, distorted guitar, right? Um, so the guitar distortion to me, it
It's this
doesn't.
bad boy.
Oh, it's that guy.
It's
It
a
Orange
it's an
Terror?
orange
Micro
micro
Terror.
tear,
There we go. Okay.
single
So
tube.
what kind of guitar were you using when you were using that?
It's a Squire Telecaster.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
Yeah. Nice. Those are humbuckers. Looks like it.
Yes.
Oh, drummer, right.
They're the things that make the noise, right? Yeah, man. So that the nice cheap guitar, $220 guitar or something.
Right on. So when you had that set up, so you plugged your guitar into that Micro Terror, and then just that into your audio interface, and that was how you rocked that business, or?
So that went out to this, which is
Okay.
just a little orange cab,
Yep.
tabletop cab, and then the reason the song is called Blue Orange is it's an orange amp and a blue microphone.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so everything was just sort of live, and then I would play into the blue, man. Right, straight into a line into GarageBand, and that's that.
That's amazing. Okay. It's so funny because for a while I was racking my brain, like how did you get that sort of a sound? Because it's like in my opinion, your song has a very like lo-fi kind of feel to it, and I'm gathering that's what you were sort of going for, right?
I was going for something that was cohesive. So I wasn't. Again, I'm not good enough to be picky. So
Okay.
At production, so
Right.
it came in. It was grungy. I mean, the whole, you're a guy who does mastering and things like that, and I don't. So when I was listening to it all, and when I listened to it from the source, it's the best thing in the world, right? So
Yeah.
maybe not so much if I like throw it on my phone speakers, coming out of just my phone or something, but it sounded good on the day, so I was happy to move on, and that it was, yeah, musically sort of made sense, and yeah, so just not picky, man. It's just a guy that doesn't know enough to care enough, I guess.
So how many days like was this like a 1 day process for you, or was it a multiple day thing?
This was like the bulk of this was done in a day, and then I probably came back once or twice to like remix a few parts, and I dabbled in some just extras as well that sort of made it in the background. But yeah, it was just sort of, let's just unleash. I mean, we had been cooped up for a while, man. Like I haven't been in a band in a few years, so maybe I have some creative, energy that needs to be let out. But yeah, no, I'm also, again, not somebody who holds myself to a huge standard. So I'm just happy to submit something with you.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
No,
you know
that's
what I mean?
lovely.
So,
I think that's
yeah,
lovely
dude.
because the whole thing about the Golden Beat is just giving someone or a group of people just that piece of creative outlet. Like
right.
let's
Yeah.
and we're all going to do it together, and it's just sort of a fun process, and everybody goes about it so differently. And I
Totally.
think to me that's one of the most interesting things about the whole thing, which is the Golden Beat. And
Yeah.
again, that's why I'm interested to do this, so I can talk to everyone. And everybody's been so different so far. It's very, very interesting. Yeah,
That's
I love
awesome.
it. So the vocals enter in about 25 seconds. I'm guessing you're using your mic again for that one. And
Blue
what was
microphone.
the blue microphone? Is it the Yeti?
It is a Yeti, and
Yeti,
it's
okay.
in my professional day job, I'm a film and television editor, and I record a lot of voiceovers. So this mic has served me well for that. So I assumed it would be all right. It's got different modes and crap. I mean, I'm sure you know. So it's not the worst mic. I've had worse stuff.
Nice. All right. What kind of effects did you layer on your vocals? And how many layers of vocals did you do?
So I think there's probably just two sets of vocals. But then I think I doubled the higher end with like a reverb and maybe moved it down a tick for like a little extra. And then there's like a low, like Leonard Cohen style, just like as low as I can go just to fill it out. Because again, I'm just listening and going, what's it missing, right? I don't know how to do it right. I'm just trying to make sure it doesn't sound wrong.
Nice. Okay, cool. And at one part of the song, probably around a minute or so in, I'm pretty sure I heard some ukulele stabs. Did you throw some ukulele in there? I think I saw it. As soon as I saw that,
Yeah.
as soon as I saw that when we got on this call, I was like, he totally put those in there. I knew it.
Interestingly enough, the ukulele is the answer to another one of your questions. The ukulele was the first thing that I recorded. So
Oh.
that little like plink, 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 that little bit was the guide, man. Like that little bit really drove a lot of the decision making from that point on. And it was like, again, I picked it up, I did it. And I was like, okay, what next? Like, why bother, man? Just have fun.
So you had the beat, and the first thing that you did was the uke first. Like that was
Yeah,
the
that was it.
inception
That
of the
was
song. Just the plink, plink, plink.
just that. I think there might be a little chord in there first. You know, like
Right.
I'd have to pull it up. I don't know if I don't remember, but definitely that change in the beat inspired that plink in the ukulele, and then that was the first thing that I laid down. So
That's amazing. Okay, that's really cool. So keeping in line with sort of the lo-fi-ish nature, did you intentionally do any like really rough cuts to any of the audio files that were in the song, or again, is just the way things flowed as you were creating your track?
I definitely didn't do it on purpose. But
Okay.
actually, interestingly, the more that I like nerd out on my own like YouTube deep dives, I've definitely seen that that's actually a technique that people use.
Yeah.
So that's one of those, I guess, beautiful mistakes that worked a little bit here and there. Yeah, I don't know. It also comes from like what I do. So like I cut a lot of stuff, and like I don't dissolve a lot of stuff. So I guess it's just habit a bit and that transition from visual to an audio element. But no, I definitely didn't like really mean to do it.
No, and that's totally cool, right? Because one of the bands that it kind of reminded me of, and maybe you've heard of them before. They're called the Black Moth Super Rainbow, and they're awesome. They're like this really grimy, like mid 2000s, like sort of like electronic-y noise kind of group, and they would make their own synthesizers, and it was a lot of synth shit, a lot of sample, sorry, no, they never use samples. That's my bad, and they did a lot of like edits where it was like the edits were really rough, and it just adds such an awesome texture and feeling to the song. You know what I mean? And I've always gotten a good feel off of that. And even listening to like older bands from like the 90s, like any of Lou Barlow's stuff, right? So
I would actually wonder too, man, if like I don't know, you probably can't hear it because Zoom does a pretty good job of getting rid of noise in the room, but I generally have like fans going, got a little grow thing going back here, so I've like got constant fanage on in here, which could just sort of be that texture that drops in and out with any of the live things that I recorded, because that would have probably been going then too. And I'm again just not on top of my shit, right? So I'm just like, let's do some guitar. So I'm not even really thinking about that, which could definitely have accentuated that, I would assume.
Yeah, and I think that's really awesome that that's just the way that it worked for you, and just from my perspective and from your intention, we're almost calling these two different thought processes out of it, and that's really cool. I think that's really special. That's nice.
I think it's important that the audience gets what they want out of everything that you put out anyway. So my intentions aside, it's cool as hell to me that you even gave it a second listen, right? So the fact that we can come together with different ideas on it is even just extra bonus shit. But it's how it should be, right?
Yeah, no, totally. So right at the change of the song, it sounds like you added a Rhodes piano. Is that what that was? Was it a Rhodes? Or a Rhodes sort of sound, I guess?
Yeah, it's definitely a synth that I'm looking for, that kind of sound. It probably is that, but I don't know. Again, I think I opened GarageBand to make this song, and I don't think I've really opened it since. So like my knowledge of that and what samples are included in that package is not great. But yeah, whatever the most sort of that sound, that's what I was going for sure. Is that kind of I don't know, like funky piano, man. Loved
Sort
it.
of like it's kind of creamy sounding in a way too. I would say the Rhodes. You know, it's
Sure.
got like
Yeah,
that sort
yeah.
of nice sound to it. So
Yeah.
right after the Rhodes happened, and I think you mentioned this earlier. You did. Those shakers came in, and I gotta say, I love when shakers are in songs. I just think shakers in songs are great. It adds motion and movement to a song without having to change too much. You know what I mean? You're just playing like a 16th or maybe even 30 seconds or something, right? And it adds that sort of movement to the song. Um, you know, very simply, what kind of shaker did you use?
I think that was probably off the samples. Like I was probably
Oh,
playing that on
serious? Okay.
yeah, I rocked a lot of MIDI because it was super quick. Like when I was in there and just wanted to mess around and add some spice, it was easy to jump between, you know, a synth or whatever, or like some shakers or whatever, you know. So, um, but yeah, like you say, it's just a way to put a little signature on the beat too for a drummer who doesn't get to drum in the song. It was nice to add a little flavor, and I think it really worked with like that part of it is such a change, but it's like I'm as a guy who doesn't write a lot of music, I'm pretty stoked that I came up with that in the afternoon. So
Nice. No, that's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, it's a proud moment, we'll say.
So as a drummer who doesn't get to add drums in the song, it's almost sounded like you added a few percussive hits outside of the shaker towards the end of the song. Did you add any other, like, did you use any like real live analog drum pieces to make any of the parts?
No, but I'm pretty sure there might be a few like cymbal crashes and things later on that I would have put in again off the MIDI.
Off the MIDI controller. Okay.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with the MIDI. There's if you really like if you go into headphones and listen, you'll hear like some MIDI buried like in the middle part. There's just these and I don't know, I have a lot of aspirations to bring that out later in some other music, you know. MIDI shit's fun, as you know.
No, MIDI's great. MIDI, you know, synthesizers, putting multiple synths together, you know, clocking them together. It's a lot of fun. It's always a lot of
Totally.
fun.
Yeah, man.
So, I guess the last question I have for you, the last thing I'm hoping that you can elaborate on, is so right at the end of the song, basically right at the very end of the song, um, one of the guitars or the guitar that you're playing, like it just goes crazy. You know what I mean? Like at least it sounds to me, and it's just like you're almost moving out of time with it a little bit, and you're just feeling the vibe of what's going on. Can you just take us into that moment a little bit, like when you were doing that part of the song? Because I was like, I love that. One of my favorite parts of the song. Like you can feel that you're feeling it, kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's one of those. That's one of those things where, again, I'm not a good enough guitarist to know what I'm doing. But like, if you get into a pocket, as you know, you can fake it till you make it to some extent. And that part just kind of happened, man, and it worked. You know, it's like I think I probably played it a couple times and like messed about to make sure that I was hitting on somewhat the right chords. And a big part of it is the whole thing came together in a way that I didn't want to put too much time into it all, because I think it's if you don't know how to do it, it's better to feel it than try and be some like dojo cat that knows how to do everything. Like just feel it, right? So I did 2 or 3 takes and took one of those and threw it in there. So I was like that. I would come in and that would be like 10 minutes of my day, and then I'd just leave and come back later and put another layer on. What I do in my daily is something where I'm always layering, and it's about the amount of passes that I do on something like an edit before, like that's how it gets. I always say it's like a Bob Ross painting, and I know we all right. You start with this foundation, and then you make it better every time. Every idea makes the whole thing better, and by the end, you have this crazy cohesive timeline or edit or sequence with all the trees and the little houses and the forest friends of a Bob Ross painting. And that's how I treated this too. Like lay down that uke, get that foundation going, and then come back with like all my bass lines are just the MIDI, like all this stuff is just like, okay, then this. And I don't really even remember what order, like, I think I did like the guitar for the first half before I did the bass, but I think I did the bass for the second half before I went back and did the guitar. Like,
Wow.
It's just one of those things where it's a day where you're just sort of flowing and messing about. But
Nice.
then back again the next day to do little MIDI hits and shit like that. So yeah.
As Bob Ross would say, there's just only happy accidents. There's no mistakes, just happy accidents, right?
Again, you got to ride the that part of the song is, again, just fake it till you make it, hope for the best, and all will be good.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for being a part of this again. I really appreciate you being on. If we did another Golden Beat, would you do another submission?
Yeah, probably.
Nice.
I think I'm in now. It's fun, you know? But I'd have higher expectations this time. Look at all this fame and fortune it's brought me.
It's so much, so much.
Right?
Yes, yeah, me too. I'm just living in a castle now. Yes,
That's right.
All right. Well, Dan, thanks again so much, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.